All right, so we're gonna do a little bit more practice with unit conversion. So just a quick refresher, we always start with our given. So for number 1, I have 5.6 gigaliters, so I'm gonna put 5.6 gigaliters. Okay, and before I try and remember the relationship between these units, I'm just gonna set this up. So I wrote my given. Now I'm gonna get into what I'm being asked for. So I'm in gigaliters, I wanna get out of gigaliters, so I put that on the bottom, and I wanna get into liters, so I'm gonna put that up top. Okay, that's all you have to do. Now I need to figure out the relationship between gigaliters and liters. So I'm gonna go back to this lovely table. So my base unit here is liters, that's my base unit, and I wanna get into gigaliters. So I'm gonna write out this relationship here. So 1 gigaliter, 1 GL, 1 gigaliter is 10 to the 9th liters. All right, so I'm now gonna plug in that relationship in here. So I am told that 1 gigaliter is 10 to the 9th liters. So I'm going to take 5.6. I'm gonna just quickly double check that, yep, 10 to the 9th, cool. I remembered it. 5.6, and since the 10 to the 9th is in the numerator, that means I'm going to be multiplying 5.6 by 10 to the 9th. So that gives me 5.6 times 10 to the 9th, and my units are liters. 5.6 has 2 sig figs. I'm counting left to right, so 1, 2. And 5.6 also has 2 sig figs. And I included units. Awesome. Let's try the next one. So I have 4.5 times 10 to the negative 8th seconds. So I'm going to write this out. Times 10 to the negative 8th seconds. That's my given. I'm going to crisscross swoosh. I'm going to put the unit I'm trying to get out of on bottom, so seconds on bottom. And the unit I'm trying to get into, picoseconds, on top. So I'm going to put picoseconds on the top. Now I need to go back to my chart and find that relationship. My base unit is seconds. And I'm looking at pico. So this is saying that 1 picosecond equals 10 to the negative 12 seconds. So I'm going to plug that back in here. So 1 picosecond is 10 to the negative 12 seconds. So in your calculator, you're going to take 4.5 times 10 to the negative 8th, and you're going to divide that by 10 to the negative 12th. Because 10 to the negative 12th is in the denominator. So 4.5 times 10 to the negative 8th. So 4.5 times 10 to the negative 8th divided by 10 to the negative 12th in my calculator would give me 4.5 times 10 to the 4th picoseconds. All right, 2 sig figs for my final answer, and I included my units. All right, so what if it's not so cut and dry? I'm not going from a prefixed unit to a just base unit, or from a base unit to just a prefix unit. What if I don't have a base unit written in the problem at all, right? I'm going from millimeters here, and I'm getting into megameters. Well, in that case, this is gonna have to be a 2-step problem, where you first go from millimeters, your prefixed unit, into your base unit, which is meters in this case. And then you can go from meters and get into your prefix unit of megameters. So let me show you how you would do that. You have 780 millimeters. I'm gonna first get into meters, and we know how to do that. We're gonna crisscross swoosh. We're gonna put millimeters on the bottom to get out of them, and meters on top to get into your base unit. I'm now in meters, awesome, but I don't want to stay in meters, I want to get into megameters. So I'm going to do one more step. I'm going to get out of meters by putting it on bottom, and I'm going to get into megameters by putting it up top. Okay. And now all I have to do is go back to my table to figure out these relationships. So the first thing I'm going to be looking at is milli. What is the relationship between meters and millimeters? So I'm going to scroll down here. My base unit is meters. So I look here. And 1 milli, base unit is meter, so 1 millimeter is 10 to the negative 3rd meters. So I'm going to plug that in. 1 millimeter is 10 to the negative 3rd meters. And now I need to look at megameter. So I see mega is here. So 1 megameter, mega is my prefix, meter is my base unit, is 10 to the 6th meters. Okay, so let's plug that in. 1 megameter is 10 to the 6th meters. So I'm going to take 780, I'm going to multiply that by 10 to the negative 3rd, because it's in the numerator, and then I'm going to divide that by 10 to the 6th, because it's in the denominator. All right, and that would give me 10 to the negative 7th. So I end up with, sorry, I was doing the mental math in my head, but you can easily just plug this in your calculator. Don't feel that you have to do it in your head. 780 in your calculator times 10 to the negative 3rd divided by 10 to the 6th, and you get 7.8 times 10 to the 7th megameters. 10 to the negative 7th. Sorry about that, megameters. All right, a couple of quick things. Notice 780, I might be tempted to say that's 3 sig figs, but since there is not a decimal place, there are actually, because I'm counting from right to left then, there are only 2 sig figs, which is why I only put 7.8. Just looking answer-wise for the problems we've done so far, giga is a really big prefix, right? So it would make sense that if you're going from gigaliters to liters, that your answer is going to be really big. There are a lot of liters in 5.6 gigaliters. In contrast, pico is the small unit here. So which value should be larger? Well, there are going to be way more picoseconds than there are in seconds. And that might not be super obvious, but this is 10 to the 4th picoseconds versus 10 to the negative 8th seconds. Okay, so since pico is such a small unit, there are going to be way more of it. Same thing here. You have 780 millimeters. Millimeters are tiny. So there are going to be very, very, very few megameters compared to millimeters, which is why when I started for my answer to say 10 to the 7th, I was like, that doesn't make sense. The value here should be very, very small because the unit is so large. Okay, let's look at another practice. So here I give you 1.2 times 10 to the 7th hectometer. So that is my given. And it's asking me to get into decimeters. Well, these are both prefixed units, so I cannot go directly from hectometers into decimeters unless I know that relationship, but I will not directly give it to you. So instead, I'm going to go from hectometers first into my base unit of meters, and then I can get into decimeters. So I'm going to write that out here. Crisscross swish, I'm going to get out of hectometers by putting it on the bottom, and I'm going to get into meters by putting it up top. Okay, hectometers have canceled. I'm now in meters. Then I can do one additional step to get out of meters by putting it on bottom. And now I can get into decimeters by putting it on top. And now I just need to find these relationships. So hecto is here. Okay, so 1 hecto base unit. My base unit here is a meter. So 1 hectometer is 10 to the 2nd meters. So I'm going to plug that in to my conversion. 1 hectometer is 10 to the 2nd meters. And then I got to find the relationship between deci and its base unit. So 1 decimeter equals 10 to the negative 1st meters. Okay, so I'm going to plug that in there. 1 decimeter is 10 to the negative 1st meters. So I'm going to take 1.2 times 10 to the 7th. I'm going to multiply that by 10 to the 2nd because that number is on top. And then I'm going to divide by 10 to the negative 1st. And that gives me an answer of 1.2 times 10 to the 10th decimeters. So let's see if this answer makes sense. A hectometer is a unit that's much larger than a decimeter. So there are going to be way more decimeters than there are hectometers. And that's what I found, right? 10 to the 3rd more.